don't do that. But I remember stopping and talking to those guys in front of the Union Station and 2 or 3 in the morning, coming back from an event and say to them, hey, what country are you from? They tell me what country they're from. And I said, what was your profession before you came here? And they would say to me, engineer, doctor, veterinarian, and the best job they could find is working a hot dog cart. Now, the interesting part about this is they were allowed into the country, paid some money, I'm sure, to get here, and then do not qualify with their trade. Foreign trade professionals, we got to do a whole show on that because, quite frankly, if we just, I mean, I don't see buildings falling down in these other countries overwhelmingly. So I imagine engineering is still part of it, but it's kind of ridiculous. Now, LoonLounge, maybe Natalie could probably help there, couldn't it?
LoonLounge, I mean, this is another aspect of, of the challenges involved in immigration and settlement to Canada that LoonLounge is attempting to help people overcome.
How so?
Not only, I mean, this is the sort of thing where an engineer, we have a community structure on LoonLounge, so you're aligned with, or you can align yourself with people from your home country or people that live in the community in Canada that you want to live in, and people that have the same occupation that you do.
Or if you're here already.
Or if you're here already.
And stuck.
And stuck, exactly. And this way, an engineer can speak to an engineer who's already in Canada and say, listen, I'm on my way, how do I go about getting a job? In the coming year, it actually is very interesting that we're bringing this up because in the coming year we are looking to expand the information that we provide to include this because it is increasingly a problem in Canada. We have countless foreign trained engineers and doctors who are at hot dog stands and driving cabs. And the problem is that there's an excruciatingly difficult and long and expensive process that these people have to go through often
to be
recertified, to have their credentials assessed or elevated to the Canadian standard and to be able to begin practicing. Now that's not something that I necessarily want to knock. I would never assume that I could go to another country and just if I was a doctor pick up and practice. You have to be able to accept the fact that there's challenges involved and that that you may have to have your credentials assessed and re-recognized by the Canadian standard. That's fine, but the problem is that so many of the people, they aren't told that that's what's going to happen. The Canadian immigration system is often, set up with a little bit of a golden pot at the end of the rainbow, and people think that they will just be able to get off the plane and start working, and it's not that easy. There's challenges involved, and a big part of LoonLounge is about attempting to educate people so that they're better prepared when they arrive. If there's anything that they can do to give themselves a head start on that credential assessment and to get through that process so that they can begin practicing in their profession as soon as possible in Canada, then we'll have done our job. So we're really looking to expand upon that in the future. But I mean, right now, just the people on LoonLounge is the biggest resource. There are hundreds of engineers and hundreds of doctors on there who are in Canada and who can provide you with the information.
Yeah, I just my experience from what I hear from the people that I've talked to in these hot dog stands and taxi cabs have almost everyone have felt it was it was called in the sales business, it's called the bait and switch. They got baited to come to Canada, and then the deal got switched, even though the deal wasn't switched. And all of a sudden, they're kind of stuck here. Well, they're stuck in a pretty good country, I would say. But
yeah, it's a pretty good place to be stuck in. But I don't necessarily want to say that the deal got switched. I just think that people aren't educated. They're not informed beforehand. And LoonLounge is attempting, to provide a space where you can be more educated and more prepared.
When we come back from break, we want to talk a little bit about the foreign students coming across. We never got to that yet, so we'll talk about that. People coming in to be educated here. And I think the other thing I just want to sort of also reiterate is that you probably should be having certain levels of government very interested for you actually being able to create this without having to do it with government money, which is interesting. But and because the governments have said they've been trying to do this for years, so leave it to an entrepreneur. But the second part is how do you pay for this thing? Because people are going to wonder, how does this thing get funded? So let's talk about more of the LoonLounge and why it's really good for immigrants and people wanting to come to Canada, and how it'd be good for all of you to maybe visit it once in a while. Stay with us. First Take Live continues right after this.
Images created by Sign Design.
Welcome back to First Take Live, last part of the show. Natalie Hunter, my guest, Communication Marketing Director or Manager for LoonLounge. It's a new on-site Facebook, perhaps kind of thing. I don't want to say it's a Facebook thing. So foreign students.
Yes.
Foreign students coming to Canada. There's been some interesting changes too, right?
Yeah, there has been some interesting changes. The Canadian government is realizing an essential flaw that they had in their system before. We've always been a very attractive country. We have incredible universities and incredible colleges across Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So we've always been an attractive country for international students. But there never previously was really a process to enable them an easy an easy way to stay in Canada after they'd completed their studies.
And that was a problem.
That was a problem.
I was telling you that before we came to the air, that it was, some people were running out of time, and it wasn't friendly at all.
No, it wasn't friendly. But as explained, you can find it on LoonLounge in the immigration facts section. The government has developed a new program called the Canadian Experience Class, and it's a program set up specifically for international students and temporary foreign workers who have come to Canada and have been educated and integrated themselves in the society and already proven themselves at home and comfortable here. And it's a really sort of fast track route in order to get your permanent residency.
So one of the issues for the viewers who probably don't know this is that, because I took an issue on a show about 3 or 4 years ago, and what the problem was that the foreign trained, there's a massive recruiting for the universities need the money. The universities need the money. I'm going to say this. The universities need the money, so they're out recruiting foreign students because they pay more. They pay more to come and get educated here than your kids do. And then, but part of the inducement was they say you would get some experience here in Canada, so you'd also have experience working here in Canada. It wasn't that easy. By the time you had to put the application in was during when you're crunching down for your finals, and most of these students, in fact the Chinese community, which I'm familiar with, missed the deadline because they were busy studying. It was very harsh, and it was a very traumatic experience. A lot of Chinese people ended up going home. A lot of them stayed in this country illegally because they felt they'd been duped.
Well, that is an issue that was addressed.
Right.
And another key aspect of the Canadian Experience Class now is that you can submit your application up to 1 year after you had completed your studies. So you don't need to worry about this while you're doing your exams. Up to 1 year after you've completed your studies, you can submit the application. Mm-hmm. So you have time in order to prioritize when you need to. And it's actually something that is talked about a lot in our forums because especially with the recent changes to immigration, coming over, obtaining a job in Canada, and coming over as a temporary foreign worker, or coming over as an international student. And
these ways to come over as coming as a student to immigrate to come get educated here.
And then using the Canadian Experience Class to obtain your PR afterwards. So it is something that's really highly discussed in the forums on LoonLounge because it is a popular way to come over now.
Well, Natalie, I want to thank you for being our guest.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks. You opened up a lot of eyes. Hey, and I just wanted maybe the government to take some lessons from private enterprise. Maybe we can all become more efficient. Wouldn't that be great? Paula Beebe, thanks for doing a great job as a producer. Thanks to Mike and Donnie for doing what they do. Until we meet again, take good care. Bye-bye.